Hi there, I'm going to share a sermon that I prepared for last week. I didn't get to record it at the time. It was the beginning of NAIDOC week, and it was also just after we'd gotten the recommendations from the Yoorook Commission in Victoria. One of the things that have been recommended is that churches need to return land that was stolen from First Peoples. And so that's part of what's going on in the background of this. The gospel reading is from Luke 10, 1 to 11, and then 16 to 20, but you could just read the bits in the middle. It has a little bit that's been left out where Jesus gets angry, and that's been edited out for some reason. The Jewish scripture is from 2 Kings 5, 1 to 14, and I've got that in the back of my head, but I'm not really talking about that. I've also posted a bit of a character piece that's dealing with that. I'd say if you want to listen to the character piece that's about not bringing any cargo with us, and then have a listen to this one. That's probably the best order to do. Last week, we heard about Jesus and his friends being rejected in a Samaritan town where they had hoped to stay on their way to Jerusalem. Jesus and his followers are all Jewish, and their people had often fought with the Samaritans. That might be why the town was afraid of accepting these travellers. A big group of Jewish people, mostly men, might have looked like an army or a militia. It would have looked quite intimidating. As the story continues in today's reading, it looks like Jesus has learned from that experience, and he gets his followers to do something different. He sends them out just in pairs so that they're not alone, but they're also not going to be seen as a big intimidating presence. And Jesus tells them not to take much with them. No cargo, no food. So they're going to have to depend on being welcomed. And they're not going to be able to take over the town. They're not going to be undermining a local economy with all the goods that they're bringing from outside of town. And they're also not carrying any weapons. And he tells them to be clear that they're coming in peace. If they aren't welcome, they shouldn't impose themselves. They shouldn't make a nuisance of themselves. They shouldn't stick around. They shouldn't even displace any of the soil as they leave. This is not what we've always done as a church when we've been going out into the wider world to share the good news that we have. Often we've brought a whole lot of fancy equipment and technology and ideas with us that we want the people that we're going to adopt. Often we've gone in cooperation with colonial forces who want to just take over the land and its resources. And we've often received some of the booty, some of the land to build churches on. Just recently, we've received recommendations from the Yoorook Commission, including a recommendation that we return land that we've received. We don't need to be afraid of this. We have an opportunity here to take the posture of a guest, like Jesus told his followers to when he sent them out. We have an opportunity to recognize that we're actually guests in this land and that we don't need to be the ones in charge. When Jesus' followers return from the towns that they've visited, he says that he saw Satan fall from heaven because of the way that they've ministered as guests, not having to be in control. We don't have to be afraid of this challenge. It's actually a call to do what Jesus initially told his first followers to do.